is about the anaconda distribution. So what is anaconda? Anaconda is a free and open source scientific distribution for Python and R language. In fact, it is the world's most popular Python distribution platform with over 20 million users worldwide. When you install Anaconda on a fresh system, it doesn't just install Python for you, but also install NumPy, Jupyter, Pandas, SciPy, Matplotlib, Scikit-learn, TensorFlow, Spider, etc. In fact, Anaconda allows you to download and install 7,500 Python and R data science packages. Most of the data scientists around the world use Anaconda because it's hassle-free and comes with pre-installed packages. Also, if you are a newbie and want to learn Python, Anaconda is a good choice as after installing it, you can directly jump into coding without being worried about installing additional modules, etc. So to install Anaconda on Windows, we will head to anaconda.com, click on Products and Individual Edition, and then we'll click on Download. Now there are installers for Windows, Mac OS and Linux. Since we are using Windows, we will be using Windows installer, and we can either use Python 3.7 or Python 2.7, and for sure we will be using Python 3.7. And to check out whether our operating system is 64-bit or 32-bit, we will have to right click on PC, goes to properties, and here it shows my system is 64-bit, your system might be 32-bit, so choose the installer accordingly. So now I will click on 64-bit installer and save the file. It's a 466 MB file and I have already downloaded it. So now I will move to the downloaded file. So here is the Anaconda installer. So I will double click on it. So it will install Anaconda 2020.02 64-bit. So I'll click on next and I will agree to the term and the conditions. Now it will ask whether you want to install it for you or all the users. I will select all the users, click on next, and now it will install in C program data Anaconda 3. If you want to change it, you can change it here, and now we will click on next. So now there are two advanced options. One is register Anaconda 3 as the system Python 3.7 and another one is add Anaconda 3 to the system path environment variables. If you click it, it says it's not recommended, but I will recommend you to click it because by clicking it you will be able to use Anaconda from PowerShell or command. If you leave it unticked, you can always add it to the path later and I will show you how to do it later, but for now we will be clicking on it and then we'll click on install. It will take some time, so we'll have to wait. So now my Anaconda installation is complete. I will click on next and now I will click on finish. Now if we go to start menu and check the Anaconda 3 folder, there is Anaconda Navigator, Anaconda PowerShell prompt, Anaconda prompt, Jupyter Notebook, Spider, and if we click on Anaconda prompt, it will open this prompt and you can check the version of Anaconda by saying conda info. So we have installed Conda version 4.8.2 and now you can also use Conda to install other modules like NumPy. You can say Conda install NumPy and it will install NumPy for you. Here we have got an error says environment not writable error. So instead of opening it like this, we will again go to Anaconda and open it as administrator. And now if we will do conda install NumPy, so it is installed. You can also check the version of Python by doing Python ---- version, and Python 3.7.6 is installed here. And you can also access other features like Jupyter Notebook from here by typing Jupyter Notebook. and it will give you a URL. So here if you will copy this, paste the URL here. So now Jupyter Notebook is open. You can create a new Python 3 notebook by clicking, and this is your notebook. This is for inputting the code, and if you are a newbie and you are just learning Python, this can be very helpful for you. For example, you can run 2 plus 3 and then plus shift enter, and the output is 5. You can set the variables like name is equal to Saral and then print the variables. Jupyter Notebook is a very vast subject, and I will create some helpful videos in the future for that too. So for now we will be closing it. Till now we were using Anaconda prompt, but instead we can use the navigator also. So for that we will click on Anaconda, go to navigator. This is the Anaconda navigator, and if you see command.exe prompt, Jupyter Lab, Notebook, PowerShell prompt, Qt console, Spider is already installed, and you can click on launch to launch it. For example, we can open the Spider editor by clicking on launch. So this is Spider editor, and you can edit your code here. And finally I will show you what difference that click on add to the path have done. So I will quit Anaconda and I will open PowerShell. So here if I type Python, so here when we have typed Python, this is Python 3.7.6 and this is the Anaconda version of Python. And if we import sys and print sys.executable, so here this Python is running from Anaconda. If we wouldn't have added the path, then we won't be able to run Anaconda from this PowerShell window, and we will have to use only Anaconda's PowerShell or Anaconda's shell to use Anaconda's Python. Before installing Anaconda, I had Python 3.7 installed on my PC. But after installing Anaconda, we can only access the Anaconda version of Python. And if we want to run Python 3.7, which was installed from python.org, we will have to check out the path. And for that I will go to my PC, C drive, and here Python 3.7 folder, and if you open it, there is a Python exe here. We can check its location by going to the properties. So it's installed in C Python 3.7. Now I will go to my PowerShell and here I will type C Python 3.7 and Python. And now if you run it, so Python 3.7.3, and this is the version which I have installed from python.org, and there is no mention of Anaconda in it. There could be a case when you haven't added Anaconda's path to your environment variable, but at later stage you want to add it. So now I will tell you how you can do it. In that case, you will have to open your Anaconda shell or Anaconda prompt, and here you will check the location of conda and Anaconda. So we'll type conda where, it's where conda, and then we will type where Python. So this has given us the location of conda and Python, and now we will add it to our environment variables. For that we'll go to edit the system environments, and here we'll go to environment variables and click on new, and then we will copy the path from here. We just need to copy the path up to the path of the folder, and we will paste it here. Similarly, we will copy the path of Python and paste it in here. And now you are good to go, and you will be able to run Anaconda's version of Python from PowerShell even if you haven't added the path to environment variables at the time of installation.
The first thing that we need to learn is how to open the Spider. So if you have installed the Anaconda ecosystem, there are two ways to open it. Either you can use the Anaconda navigator and just click on the launch over here, or you can go to your Windows, type SPYDER, and you can just start it from here. And once you start your spider, the first screen that you're going to get after it loads, and it will look something like this. The first component that we are going to talk about is the editor that you see on your left hand side. This is the place where you're actually going to write your Python code every single time. Now, for an instance, suppose I declare a variable I is equal to 10 and write a print command. This is the place where you're going to write all your Python code. And if you just try to select it and press Shift Enter, this will execute your program. Which brings us to the second component, that is IPython, which is on your bottom right hand side. You can see over here. Now what is IPython? IPython is actually your intelligent Python. Anything that you run on this editor component, the output will come over here. In our case, you can see I is equal to 10, print hello is executed, and we get the output as hello. Now moving on to the third component we have is the variable explorer, which is somewhere over here. If you don't find it, you can go to views, panes, and select variable explorer from this place. What is a variable explorer? It actually shows the namespace content, global object references such as variable, functions, modules, and etc. In our case, as you can see in the editor component, we have declared a variable I, and of that variable you can see in the side the variable explorer, the variable name, the variable type, size, and its value. In this case, now suppose you have many variables declared in your Python program or in your machine learning project, this tab or this component variable explorer is very helpful to figure out what is the variable name and what are its values. The next component is file explorer, which is next to the variable explorer by default. Again, if you don't find it, you can go to view, panes, and from here you can select file explorer. Now file explorer is actually a pane that is built in a file system and a directory for browsing to view and filter files and their properties. You can open them with the editor or an external tool that performs command management tasks. In most of the cases, you would like to set path of your project from the file explorer. When you are using some external CSV files or maybe some PDF or images, you'll have to make sure that this file explorer path and the project file that you're working in this editor, they both are in the same directory, and that is when file explorer really comes into handy. The next component that we have is the help, which is next to the file explorer. You can use the help pane to find, render, and display documentation for any object with a doc string, including modules, classes, functions, and methods. Help can be retrieved both by static analysis of open files in the editor dynamically or by inspecting an object in an IPython console. You can trigger help by manually entering the object's name into the object box, pressing the configurable help Ctrl+I, or even automatically if desired when typing left parenthesis after a function or a method name. Automatic help can be individually enabled for the editor and the console under Preferences, Help, and then Automatic Connections, and turn it on or off dynamically by the lock icon in the top right corner of the help pane. The next component is the history log, which is next to the IPython console. With the history log pane, you can view an automatic deduplicated time-stamped list of every command you enter in any connected IPython console. Navigating the history log is very straightforward. Each section is marked by a date and time stamp, making it easy to remember when you execute a certain command. Statements can be selected and copied from the context with the normal system shortcuts. Just like in the editor Lightning, a word phrase displays all other occurrence, full syntax highlighting is also supported. Finally, the top right option menu gear icon allows you to toggle soft wrapping of long lines, that is wrap lines, and set the number commands the history log should remember in the history section. Moving on to the next component we have is the projects. We can find the projects on the top by clicking the projects, new project, and you can define the name of your project and the location. Spider allows users to associate a given directory with project, which offers several main advantages. Opening, closing or switching to a project automatically saves and restores your editor panes and open files directly how you've left it. This allows you to easily switch between many different development tasks without making it to manually recreate your session for each and every single time. I personally use it and this is very beneficial. Once the project is open, the project explorer that is on the left is open, that gives you a tree view of the current project files and directories. This pane allows you to perform all the same functionalities as a normal Spider file explorer. The last component on this list, or I should say more specifically, the last component for this video is the online help. You can get this pane by going to View, Panes and Online Help, which will then again come next to a variable explorer or by file explorer. This will give you all the functionalities and the function that is built in the Python in the latest version that you have installed, that is 3.7.4, that is in my case. You can come over here, search for a package, or you can also just click any of these over here to actually read about the documentation, and you will get all those results inside this your Spider IDE only. One last thing before I leave is that you can, if you want to change the font size and the some different more functionalities of this IDE, you can go to Tools, Preferences, and actually change over your console's font size and your shell sizes, and a lot more you can do it from here by